fire side. On the EMS side, after 10 o'clock at night, I only have 3 trucks on the road, not 5.
So you're saying North Bay is going, but North Bay has now been, through arbitration, I guess, they're going on 24-hour shifts, correct? Would our firefighters go 24-hour shifts?
They've already asked for that.
No, I know they've already asked, but North Bay has won the arbitration. Is, with this new model that you're going to, are you gonna have 24 hours for the firefighters? Are you
Well,
recommending
as the
that?
arbitrator says, we have to, yeah. We'll
I
have to.
suspect it'll get awarded.
Okay, so you think it's gonna get awarded?
So what's that?
That won't, if I have the flexibility to staff accordingly, whether they're on 10, 14, 12, or 24, we can adjust accordingly. Here, an example to that, Councilor Bruni, is you're on 24-hour shifts, and it does happen. I used to work them years ago. You know, you come in at 6 o'clock at night, and by midnight, you know, flu comes on, you're not feeling that great, you gotta go home. So in that case, if you're down one body, you don't have to replace them necessarily, because the next shift is coming in at 7 the next morning. So you're going to run with that flexible timeline for 6 hours as opposed to replacing them.
So I'm getting confused now, because you were saying overtime hours will reduce. You're saying because now you're reaffirming what you said earlier, but I think overtime hours will probably increase.
If it's a 24-hour shift.
If it's a 24 hours, I believe. But I hear you, could be
But
wrong.
because isn't that overlap?
Independent of this model, they're looking for 24-hour shifts.
Yeah. Right.
Whether we use
Yes.
this model or not.
I know, no,
we're
I
gonna
know,
get
I get that.
I know
We
that.
have the
We get
flexibility to adjust accordingly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what you're introducing here, other municipalities have been reducing their fire services and increasing their EMS services.
For those who have a double complement like we have, yes. And even those who are only fire alone are looking at moving to a more dynamic model. The technical term is dynamic deployment, meaning you don't need to have the same amount at 3 in the afternoon as you do at 3 in the morning kind of thing.
I understand that, because I think police
have
services
done
are,
it for 10 years.
police services are going that route.
Yeah.
But, okay.
I think the CEO indicated to me he had a comment to make.
Yeah, just again, in terms of the overtime, and I mentioned at the outset that we're going to be working with the Commissioner of Finance to go through the numbers. These are just some sketch numbers. I agree. I think overtime might go up a little bit. It depends, but overall, it's offset by the fact that you have that many less firefighters that you're dealing with, and I think that's what the chief is talking about. Is in terms of costs overall, it's a significant reduction in cost because there's a significant resource need within the fire service component, and you're using that to then reallocate over to the EMS. So we'll still come back with the more detailed ones as part of the implementation process, but I just want to make sure you don't lose the track that this is going to be zero overtime. There will be an overtime line item. What that delta is going to be within that overtime line item still needs to be worked through.
So, you mentioned that after tonight, you're going to talk to the union officials, executive. What about staff? How are you going to introduce this to staff, to the fire services? Just here, this is what we're doing?
I mean, I need to, you know, go back through the history. I mean, I approached the association executive back in April, back in May, back in July, and each time I approached them, they said they weren't going to cooperate. So I'm still going to explain to them what we're doing and why we're doing it, but they had the opportunity to be at the table and they chose not to. It got so ridiculous that I had firefighters meeting me in the parking lot asking me for my private email so they could send me stuff because they were terrified to cooperate. I mean, that's a cultural thing that I have to work on long term, but they had the opportunity to sit at the table and they chose not to. So I will explain it to them just like I'm explaining it to you. They know all this stuff. They know the 10 and 10. They know about dynamic deployment. They're educated just like I am. They know this stuff. This is not going to be any surprise to them. Yes, they're probably going to fight it, and they're going to, unfortunately, they're going to go back to the age-old tying of babies will burn and mothers will die. Well, we know that doesn't happen anymore.
Councilor Cooper, you had a question?
Yes, I do, actually. When are you converting firefighters to EMS? And if you are, is there a change in salary?
No, we're just taking the head count number.
Oh, okay.
So as, for example, as a firefighter retires,
Okay.
we replace him or her with a medic.
Okay, I got it. And there was another one that
This will all be through attrition.
oh, okay, that was my next question. Sorry, I'm just getting a little tired.
And the numbers are saying probably by mid of 2018, that will be complete.
So
based on
really,
the
with this
demographic.
model that you're proposing, there's basically not going to be any jobs lost. Only through the attrition.
Yeah, there'll be no, I think at the end of the day, there'll be 3 positions that are not replaced.
Not replaced.
If anything moved over will be,
Right,
so
but
out
you're
of the
not
20,
going to have to
I'm
go-
proposing to replace 7, to use 17 of them in a different way.
Right,
Which
okay.
leaves 3, net loss of 3.
But you don't have to go to somebody in your unit and say
No.
you don't have a job.
No,
Okay.
no.
Thank you.
So we have, are you done, Councilor Cooper?
Yes, I am. Thank
We have
you.
Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, you said they won't cooperate. So, is there a reason why they won't cooperate?
I mean, you know, I'm not going to speculate. I mean, I think there's a fear of change.
I know what the answer is.
There's a
but I
fear of
just-
change, and their view was that, I think they took the view that if they didn't cooperate and they tried to obfuscate, that somehow I was going to go away. And I explained to them, you know, we need to look at the reality of today. It's got to be empirically based, which this is.
But, but they don't give you any examples why they won't cooperate, or reasons why, or?
Well,
Is it
the line I
because-
get is, we're giving up nothing and we want more. That's unfortunately, that's the provincial mantra, and unfortunately, they,
Yes,
you know,
so,
so to speak, they drank that Kool-Aid. And I mean, I have a huge cultural issue to deal with. That's going to take time, but in the meantime, we need to move forward.
and you know they're gonna go out to the community and
Of course they will.
express
Of course they
that
will.
feeling, you know?
Yes,
so.
I know.
So Councilor Kapadia.
Okay, so you mentioned about the attrition rate and about people leaving. So there's going to be, 17 leaving through attrition and then 3 positions aren't going to be replaced?
There'll be a total of 20 leaving to
20,
attrition.
yeah.
17 will be repurposed,
Yeah,
and there'll be
and 3
a
jobs
complement of 3 full head counts that won't be used.
that won't be used. In other words, those jobs are gone.
Yes.
Okay. So with the overtime, you got overtime and it was, 150,000 a year,
That's
right?
what's budgeted, yes.
Okay, is budgeted. So you got a current staff load right now of how many people? Includes everybody.
On the operation side,
Yeah,
where all the
on-
overtime is incurred.
With the, yes, absolutely.
We have a complement of 88. Presently, we have 83 because we're down 5. 5 vacancies,
Okay, and all that overtime, the 150 is allocated to that part of operation.
strictly to the operation
What,
side.
so currently, what does it work out right now as an individual? Say I was a firefighter, okay, and I got a gross income that comes in. Out of my gross income, what percentage of that overtime is currently paid out? Is it 10%? How much overtime is incurred in my gross income in a yearly basis?
I couldn't tell.
I'd like to know, somebody mentioned the line item.
We can check that out with finance, but there are some guys, mainly the younger guys, who are hungry and they'll work more. Some of the older guys don't work more. Others will, in the middle of the road, will work the time but not take it in pay. They'll take it
Yeah.
in time.
No, that's
So
what I'm
we'll have
trying
to
to,
break that down, but
that's what we're trying to get at, Mike, is about the overtime, who's taking it, who isn't, right? And then if you're gonna reduce, you're going to optimal manning, that's what you're doing right now, right? And you're assessing all the risk.
yeah.
And you're, I'm not so sure myself that the overtime won't go up. In fact, I think it would, and we'd be able to access it. And you talked about a 24-hour shift. Is a
I did.
24-hour shift even legal?
Yeah.
Yes, they're exempt.
Fire
It's,
services.
okay, so in fire services, so they could work 24 hours straight with no sleep?
That's what they're asking for.
Well,
That is nothing to do with this proposal.
With no sleep?
who says with no
That's going to our.
No, but you got 24 hours, you're
You
working
got
for
beds
24 hours, you gotta have 8 hours of sleep somewhere. In that 24
there's
hours.
We're not
bed-
dealing with that issue here.
They've got
No, we're
beds
not,
there.
Can I just address the overtime?
Folks, can we stay on this proposal though?
Yeah,
Because-
go ahead, go
You
ahead.
talk about the overtime.
Yeah.
We're going to go from having 17 on shift to normal complement will be 13. So that's 4 bodies that we're not having on. So even if we have to backfill for 1, it's going to be minimal compared to what I'm doing now where I have 2 and 3 off. I'll have that leeway to either backfill it because it's required or not backfill because it's not required for that time.
And the attrition rate right now, so how many are expected to be going over a next 3-year period?
Well, they have mandatory retirement still in place. When they turn 60, they have to go.
And so how many are gonna be going?
We have in the next 3 years, between those who have to go at 60, those who have reached 30 or 35, we have approximately 27 that can go.
Then, well, they will have to go, right?
Well,
No,
some
it's
have, I think 18,
some
I
it's
think 18 have to go.
have to go.
18 have to go. Okay.
So if we have to extend this for a year or two more to get the attrition, we'll do that. We're not about laying people off.
Have you ever have you ever thought about giving a benefit for somebody to retire a little bit early?
Well, that would be.
Let's call it 24-hour shift.
You'd have to.
No.
With a
work on
bid.
some incentive
No,
plan.
SR's doing it right now.
Okay, Councillor,
Yep.
are you done, Councillor?
No, I got one more question, Mayor. I got one more, please. And so we talked about, you talked about a supervision and occupation health and safety and legislation and no supervisor in place right now earlier. What was that position for?
On the EMS side.
On the EMS side?
I believe technically that under the Algonquin, it says I as a manager must have a competent supervisor in the
No.
workplace.
No,
Now, on the EMS side, they have what are called work group leaders, but they're regular ambulance guys. So if they're at a call, they're dealing with the patient, they can't be supervising. And that happens all the time. So I have no supervision between myself and the deputy and the assistant chief. We're doing all the callbacks and all the stuff because there's nobody on the road to handle any of that kind of stuff.
My concern is that if it doesn't, if you're not doing it according to health and safety legislation, right, and God forbid there was ever a fatality and somebody came in from the ministry and asked that question, where would that put you where would that put us
That's-
with liability?
That's my concern, and you know, we have a new council in place, we have a new CEO.
That's what we're doing here.
You as a city will be sued. I could be charged criminally, and that's my concern. You know, I've been showing that I make an effort to get this thing rectified, so that may get me off a little bit, but technically under C-45, which passed a few years ago, is me now as a manager, I'm criminally liable under criminal negligence.
And this address, having 2 management staff 24/7 covered doesn't meet the threshold of competency in the supervisory capacity because they're already working their shifts.
Yeah.
Plus they're alternating their 24/7 on call.
And I'm
Every
backing it up as well, so we're
And then Mike gets
on
thrown
call
in
all
there.
the time because there's no competent supervisor on the EMS side. That's the number one priority. I need to get those 4 positions.
I'd like to talk from my perspective, and then we can go if we have any additional questions. We're getting caught up, and frankly, it's in the presentation to a large degree about the savings here. Although that's a positive consequence of this, this isn't really about savings at all. This is about a rebalancing of our human resource costs in fire EMS. The vast majority of our human resource cost is for suppression workers. Suppression is a dated model. We need to do education so people know what they need to have in their house so they don't die by fire. We need to do enforcement. And we have a massive problem that we need to address. So if we're not going to address it in accord with this chief's proposals, we have to find some money to kick over to EMS because we are short-staffed in EMS and our response time for our EMS, I think the chief will tell you, need improvement. Our response times for fire don't, but our response times for EMS do. And the important point to take away from the chief's proposal is we're not going to reduce the number of guys that go to a fire, and we're not actually going to do anything that has a deleterious effect on our response time. We're going to get the same number of firefighters to a fire in the same amount of time. What we're also going to do is we're going to improve our EMS, which is important for our community because we have 13,500 medical calls a year. And, you know, I have a brother who's an emergency room nurse, and he's told me directly, you guys got a problem with your ambulances, man, you don't got enough. And that's what he does, 12 hour, however long their shifts are, they're not 24 hours, but they're 12. So like, this isn't about saving money to me, although that's a positive consequence of this rebalancing. It's about actually decreasing our risk. We have a risk where we don't have the right human resources in EMS. And I've recently, at their request, I was asked to meet with, by the local leadership, Marty Knopek asked me to meet with the union leadership from the province. And they were in town. And it was just, I said, I'm not really interested in a meeting to talk about substantive matters because the chief should be there. They said, it was just a meet and greet. So I said, okay, that's fine. So we shook hands and we meeted and greeted, and then they wanted to talk about a few different things. And one of the things the guy said to me were, look, Christian, we got to get value to taxpayers, so we should really look at what the firemen can do as far as EMS goes. So they know that this is the case, and they know this is coming, and they know that they need to justify the suppression model because we need less actual firefighters. We're paying almost 90 firefighters, and it's the largest chunk of our human resource budget to the expense of our EMS, to the expense of education, and to the expense of enforcement. And we can't do that any longer. So if this has to come forward because the chief and the city's senior management have to put this on the table for us, they wanted to give you the benefit of knowing about it prior to them meeting with staff again and saying this is what's going to be recommended to council. But if we're not going to support this proposal, we've got to find some money for EMS because we can't leave the chief in the current position for much longer than he is. Councilor Christian?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. And one, the number of platoons will stay at 4.
Yes.
You're just reducing the staff. Now my question to your point is, they've been tossing around this Winnipeg model where, firefighters take on more of an EMS role. Are any of these firefighters qualified in?
No, there's a bit of misinformation, and I'm going to say it's intentional. The Winnipeg model is where you'd have 3 firefighters on a rig, a truck, and then you put a medic with them. It's not a firefighter trained as a medic, it's a medic.
Right.
So that
I'm aware of that.
And their legislation is different out there. In our case here in the province, even if we had qualified firefighters who were medics, under the CAC system, they can't triage a patient, they can't clear. So there's a huge regulatory framework that has to be done. And to your point, I have 3 guys who actually have medic qualifications, and unfortunately because of the training issue, all of them are have basic first aid. No different than the guy working at the arena. That's just not doing it for what we're trying to do as professionals.
So when we get these additional complement of EMS workers, do we have any projections on, I know there were problems with ambulances being tied up at Emerge because once you deliver a patient to Emerge, you have to stay with them until they get triaged. And they get. Do we have any indication in terms? I'm not even sure what the right metric question to ask you is, but any idea of how much quicker we can respond on the EMS side? How many more patients we can see? I don't know what the right question is.
Those are called offload times, and they're manageable. We track those on a monthly basis, and you get the occasional spike, but they're manageable. It's just the sheer volume of calls, not the hold up at Emerge.
No, and I understand what we're attempting to do here. I mean, when we had our budget deliberations last year, I think the numbers were pretty clear. When you got 12,000 emergency calls and very few fire calls, I mean, I understand that something has to be done. My only concern is, and I think it was addressed here, is that we have enough fire suppression, which we're confident we do, and that we're improving our EMS response time and number of calls that we can handle. So,
I understand Councilor Mano has to leave, so I'm going to give him the floor.
I just wanted to state for my purposes, I think it's appropriate what's here, and I don't want to repeat what everybody else said, but I'm in favor for whatever it's worth. I know we're not necessarily voting on it, but so that you have my position on it, it makes a lot of sense.
We're not voting tonight, we can't vote.
You don't vote.
This will be an open, the same presentation, this will be an open in 2 weeks.
Yep.
We'll vote then.
It's a heads up for us.
Yep.
And if I have any further questions.
If anyone have any questions, call me in the next 2 weeks. I'll make myself available whenever it's convenient to you, and I can explain any more or answer your questions or whatever.
Happy birthday, Ross.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Oh, you have no kids, no wife? Where are you going? Where are you going?
My mom is doing.
Oh.
I can only spend so many hours with you.
Councilor Myers?
Should have had it last night, Thanksgiving.
Chief, there's a cost difference between the cost for fire suppression officer versus a EMS.
Yes, there's about a $8,000 with benefits.
Yeah.
It's 12 with benefits.
more costly to have
Yeah,
the
and that's
firefighter.
slowly, you'll eventually get parity probably in 7 to 10 years, just like police and fire.
Yeah.
That'll come up. Where the cost savings are, because half of EMS is covered by the province.
That's what I wanted to make
And
sure.
so
it wasn't
although
lost.
we're not changing any bodies, the funding model changed because when we move something to an EMS side, it becomes a $50,000.
Yep. Thank you.
Do you have any additional questions to Councillor, City Solicitor, please?
Sir, I just wanted to make one point of clarification insofar as the chief brought up Bill C-45, and he's saying that he could be held criminally responsible now that he's seen that he's falling short on the EMS side. Now that you, as the mind of the corporation, have been advised, we too are exposed. We can't leave the situation as it is. You don't have to adopt Mike's model, but something has to be done because now we've been apprised.
We have a common theme with DSAP.
Do you have any other questions for our senior management team?
Just a quick comment.
Sure.
I'm hoping that Sault Ste. Marie can find a way to say that Sault Ste. Marie was the first city to stop the 24-hour shift from happening.
Not gonna happen, Frankie.
Okay, are we adjourned?
Mr. Mayor?
We're going to move to adjourn. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
It's been long.
So Jude, they have a meal here for you, because the vegetarian. Oh, it's all vegetarian fast. Do you want me to just take it home? Oh, you can do it. It's me.